Returning to London, the clubs the Ibiza 4 set up, Future, Spectrum, Shoom and The Trip, marked the first spaces in which electronic dance music and ecstasy combined to form an entirely new cultural form, acid house. Over the next few years, UK dance music, mutating first from acid house into rave, then hardcore and jungle, rewires and revolutionises British culture, then that of the entire world. Its ballooning popularity sees it expand from basement clubs to vast illegal raves, a wave of mass civil disobedience which eventually forces the government to act. When they do so, with the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994's infamous clampdown on repetitive beats, conventional retellings suggest that UK dance music's relevance as a political and cultural force is largely erased. Raving instead becomes a depoliticised and unthinkingly hedonistic leisure activity, of interest only for its shifting sonic and genre qualities, a mere background hum where once it was the heartbeat of the UK's counterculture. The opening chapters of Party Lines try to deconstruct some of these myths around rave's emergence and early years. Rather than treating the legendary journey of the Ibiza 4 and the subjective experience of being on MDMA as the twin sparks which ignite the rest of the story, it also looks at the critical and still largely under-acknowledged role of black sound system culture in setting out not just the core sonic influences for acid house, but also the social and political landscape which it would come to occupy. The sound system is just one of several such antecedents underpinning rave's prehistory, from the free festival movement of the 1970s to the moralistic policing of queer venues in British city centres in the 1980s. These each reveal UK dance music not as the spontaneous, unprecedented eruption it's so often depicted to be, bursting suddenly into rich colour against the bleak monochrome of the Thatcher years, but instead the direct and largely predictable evolution of cultural and political currents which cut across late 20th century Britain. Party Lines also looks to expand that narrative towards the present. Where previous retellings tend to lose some of their urgency after the Criminal Justice Act is passed, this book argues that the dance floor continued to be a highly political space, albeit serving diametrically opposed aims. The soft market economic policy and anti-black authoritarianism of the Blair governments, but also the burgeoning creative industries which came to include superclubs like Cream and Ministry of Sound. From there, these same forces of corporate capture and underground resistance run through pirate radio, broadcast and visual media, and struggles around urban space and gentrification, a process which ends in COVID-19's violent disruptions and the tentative re-emergence of more equitable possibilities for UK dance music stretching into the future. That's not to claim that these ideas are new or exclusive to me. While book-length overviews of UK dance music history still tend to gravitate towards those more familiar and widely accepted narratives, Party Lines also draws on a rich and growing history of writing which challenges and deconstructs those old assumptions, whether in academic work by Kojo Eshin, Paul Gilroy, Mark Fisher, Joy White, Julia Toppin, Caspar Melville, Lambros Fatsis, and many others, or in more genre-specific journalism and literature by Dan Hancox, Emma Warren, Lloyd Bradley, Kieran Thapar, and Matt Annis, to name but a few. Party Lines is an attempt to synthesise several of these ideas, along with my own, into an overarching narrative which, while still inescapably partial and subjective, forms a coherent through-line tracing UK dance music's shifting political, legislative and financial forms over the last 40 years. It's the story of power and money shaping how, where and why we dance. The spaces we occupy, the sounds we hear, the people with whom we share the communal rituals of the dance floor, and the people to whom money and privilege accrue as a result. But it's also a story of how our collective desire to dance with each other has built modern Britain, its social hierarchies, cultural communities, capitalist structures, and legal restrictions. The seed for this story was first planted in a North London flat, meeting the artist Jeremy Deller for the first time before working together on his film Everybody in the Place. He explained his concept by loading up 2 YouTube videos. In one, silent images of the police baton charging the striking miners at Orgreave. In the other, the audio from the KLF's What Time Is Love, all apocalyptic synth stabs and pounding drums. It's a devastatingly simple juxtaposition. How could this dense, foreboding music have been produced in anything other than the crucible of post-industrial decline and authoritarian violence? If Everybody in the Place's connections between Thatcherite unrest and the birth of acid house was the starting point, then the end of the thread lay somewhere near housekeeping, a group of aristocrats, landlords and bankers posing as tech house DJs in the late 2010s, whose industry success laid bare the webs of power, money and influence.